Today I want to look at what is called Bell's inequality. John Stuart Bell, 1964, was responsible for this. It is a response to the Einstein-Podolsky-Rosen paradox.
I like math. See, one of the things about math is they'll just go through one class.
Recently. Now, just to review what that paradox said,
26 minutes.
What Einstein and Podolsky and Rosen argued that if you have some kind of system, like energy or nuclear reaction, whatever it may be, that is responsible for pair production, you might produce, say, an electron and a positron. But what you find by experiment is that if you measure the electron spin, say, against the z-axis, the vertical axis, and you find that the spin is upwards, you might not, you might find it's downwards, but if you find it's upwards, then what you will always find is that the positron spin will be down. In other words, those two spins will always be exactly opposite.
8x squared.
Similarly, if you measure the spin along the, say, x-axis, and you find it's in that direction,
they're the same thing.
Then,
as much as F1 plus F2 minus F1.
Along the x-axis of the positron, it would always be in the opposite direction.
When you ask Leonard there for
now,
some of
Heisenberg's uncertainty principle says
literature
you cannot know simultaneously
behind what I'm talking about here, you'll have to use another bit of information to condense, have causality collapse. And notice that this is the same grid. And what's also real relative to this is utilizing this time correctly to make a decision on how to describe something like Feynman, verbatim, off of this guy, as a team, the impossible chess problem.
Let's say that it's vertical. She then shouts across to Bob, I have found a spin in the z direction that is up. If you were to measure your spin, we know that
life's
you
not
would
fair.
find
And
that it's
one
down.
of the things we know
But
for
don't
sure
do
that
that.
make that is
Instead,
Bob Lazar,
measure
and taking him
your
off the
spin in the
project
x
because his
direction.
wife,
And so
well,
Bob
he's
is
very
supposed
smart,
to measure a spin in the x
looked like a
direction.
human last time I saw a picture of him
that
on
it's,
Joe
say,
Rogan.
to the right. He would then know that his z direction spin was down and his x direction spin was to the right. He would know both values at the same time. But Heisenberg says you can't. So in practice what would happen is, if Alice measures the spin in the z direction of this electron, Bob cannot measure the spin in the x direction of the positron. But if Alice doesn't make that measurement, then Bob can make the measurement in the x direction.
Think about one of the situation where it is. I'm in a situation where I can't measure that right now. I cannot know.
How does this
You're going to say that's a gradient.
Know
and you can say that's Q. You could say that's P, a problem and a question. How do I get the answer, and how do I specify it so I know when to get there what specific things in an order instead of just going through it at the atomos trying to find the electron in every atom.
Immediate communication. No matter how far they fly apart, no matter how far apart they are communicating to one another in an entangled state. Instantaneously, what is going on? But of course, there's a problem with that. That would suggest that information is being passed.
You listen every once in a while. It's how they talk about it. Like they're going to tell you this is exclusionary. I don't know his class. He might not have a class. This just might be some brother out here doing physics
the second explanation
with a PhD, which gives him title to Ramen Noodles Factory over there for slicing and dicing up salty rabbit stew.
DNA or hidden variables that would forever govern precisely what they would do in the entirety of their life. And those hidden variables would ensure that they would always remain entangled, because that DNA would always govern what they
without any system, you're just going to get E. But what the hell is E without a system? And so without getting into the hippie Jedi bullshit with it all, just get right into the stone mill frame is E. It's E in a positive form, it's E in its negative form. From this superposition,
hidden variables embedded in these particles that would dictate what they did.
So you'd look at it like it wasn't designed to do that, Doomslayer, but you know what? Be a usurper. I want you to go jump that over there and throw it in the 3-ring binder when you're done.
Now, to understand how Bell's inequality works, let's first look at a very simple example.
It won't be much of a raise.
Considering children playing
There'll be
in a
one
playground. Some of them are wearing hats Some of them are wearing scarves and some of them are wearing gloves. It's a cold day. All of them are at least wearing one of those items of clothing. Some are wearing two, some are wearing all three. And we can represent those children by overlapping circles. They're sometimes called
It's not
sets.
just that. Everything. Later on, they'll use a Van Damme diagram.
This is set A. This is all
make you work it out.
This is set
Cro-Magnon, caveman, and little big gray alien, right?
Yeah. And this is set
chimpanzee,
C,
something.
the children wearing gloves. Now, where A and B overlap, that's this area here, that means the children are wearing hats and scarves.
We do this.
Where A and C overlap, that's this area here, the children are wearing hats and gloves.
Come on,
where B and
this
C
is
overlap,
this is a comedian thesis. Like, there's ways to register which ones are hitting on certain points, how to change and be dynamic within the entropy of. You can't know the total result, but it's positive or one, or positive one or negative 1, 0, kind of neutral. I'm not getting more of a result of laughters. I'm not talking about 0 as if crickets chirping in the background. I'm talking about it like they're still hitting a neutral level, but man, they like that one when it comes together and
but not gloves is always
too much it will. And you get the mix wrong and the two cycle motor there with the mixed gas, and let it sit out too long in the shed with a hole, and she starts to evaporate too much over a timeline. Choke out your carburetor there, or you'll have to have problems with it and drill the head or something.
Well, A not B is region 1 plus region 4. 2 and 5 are part of B.
IH. That's
so 1 plus
PQ
4
in the pipes there
is
for
A not B. What is B not C? Well, B not C
arborist or arborist. There's certain ideas under their bracket of things. Once you get to a certain point, you're going to go, alright, so I got to hit to the top arborists that are out there on the highest level of the pay system of it, which are probably topping trees, stuff like that at a real high risky end of it. Before you get into fancy carving the stump into a bear in a honey jar or something, you know, maybe alright, haha, but yeah, sure. Probably a lot of clearing areas, junk debris, different chainsaw matrices, sizes, inventories that have to be on the list that's in the area, because you never know in the market. Might have to save you some time if you have you did the work.
Plus 4 plus 3 is greater than or equal
now
to
I would, and there was a time
2.
I wouldn't, but now I'd hit you with that,
well,
brother, because I really
if there are no
trying to do it different than the college teachers over there hitting that soft method and still letting Doomslayer catch a little bit and not get it over days in class.
What is 4? 4 is that they are wearing